I'm a forester, and I became a forester because I love the outdoors. Now I don't work outdoors anymore. I work in an office in the city. But I do get out into the woods whenever I can, and it's like visiting an old friend. Hey, why don't you come along with me and I'll introduce you. Let's take a look at some of the neat things about the forest. When I get out in the woods, I feel free as a bird. I just love to roam over the hills and discover new places. It seems like every place in the forest is different. Every little valley and hilltop and creek, like different rooms in a house, except they have solid trees for walls and furniture, and leaves and moss for carpet. There's always new things to find, and fun things to do, and dangerous things too. So be careful, okay? And let your parents know where you are. But my favorite thing to do in the forest is just to sit and look and listen. The forest tells its best secrets in a whisper. When you're quiet, you can really get to know the forest and see things noisy people never see, like wild animals. Do you see the deer? Or raindrops sparkling on a leaf? Now, which looks more sparkly to you, the lady's emerald ring or the water drops? I think the water drops do. The raindrops will soon be gone, that's true, but nature is constantly making thousands of beautiful things for us to see, like flowers. You notice that the boy is looking but not picking. Leave the pretty things for other people to see too. Some kinds of flowers grow only in the deep forest, and some are really rare. Other flowers and plants give us medicine or food. And you know that vine that you like to swing on? Well, it's a flower too. It's a grape plant. And animals love grapes. Even butterflies. Not all flowers are little bitty plants. Trees have flowers too. All kinds of flowers. Bright, showy flowers. Flowers that look like tulips. Or flowers that don't even look like flowers. More like little green bells. Or even like caterpillars. Now, why do you think that a tree has flowers? Just to be pretty? Remember the grapes? Flowers are to make fruit. Here's a fruit we know about that grows on a tree. But now, why do you suppose a tree makes a fruit anyway? Just so we can eat it? Well, let's cut it open and take a look inside to find out. What do we find? Seeds. And what are seeds? They're little bitty pills with baby trees wrapped up inside. And if you plant one, it will grow into a new tree. Each kind of tree has its own kind of fruit. Do you know what kind this is? Look how many cherries there are. Can you imagine all those zillions of little seeds falling down under the mama tree and trying to grow there? Boy, that'd get too crowded in a hurry. Those baby trees need to be scattered out in the open where they have room to grow. Can the mama tree do that? Can she walk around and scatter her babies all over? Or can she throw her fruits? No. The tree needs something else to carry the seeds, like maybe a bird. A bird that eats the seeds and flies away. Of course, the bird can't use the hard seed, so the seed falls down on the ground and grows, maybe miles away from its parent. Or how about the oak fruit? How does it get around? Oh, well, we call it an acorn, but it is the fruit of the oak tree, and there's a tiny oak tree inside. So who helps the oak tree get around? I think we all know. Mr. Squirrel hides acorns in the ground, and he forgets where he put some of them. Dandelion seeds are little parachutes that ride on the wind, and some kinds of trees use that same trick. And maple trees were riding on helicopters a long time before people. Did you know that some trees smell? The roots of this tree smell like root beer. And these smell like peanut butter. But don't eat them, they might be poison. There are lots of leaf shapes. Some trees have leaves that look like hearts, or stars, or tulips. And trees have different kinds of skin, too. This one looks like maybe a dinosaur leg. And this one has warts. And the skin on this one is peeling. There are almost 200 different kinds of trees in our forests. and each kind has a different skin, leaves, flowers, fruit, and even its own personality. Take this one for instance. It likes to live down by the creek. It's real thirsty, and it has bright white bark. So if you ever saw it on a moonlit night, you'd know why we nicknamed it the ghost tree. The majestic oak likes it better up on the hill. You know that people used to worship the oak tree because it lived for such a long time and got so big and strong? Hey, that's Smart Alex sticking his tongue out at me. Let's move right along here. Well, just like there's many kinds of trees, there are many kinds of forests. Let's take a quick trip around Tennessee and visit some of them. This looks like the bayous of Louisiana or Alligator Alley, but it's Tennessee. Does it look icky and buggy and full of snakes? Yeah, there's some of that here, but this kind of forest is really beautiful. It's full of flowers and birds and animals. These trees are really good at growing in water. Do you see those knobs sticking out? We think those might be tree noses that help the tree breathe underwater. Well, looks like we're in the cowboy country of Texas, cactus and all. Cactus, yes, but Texas, no. This is still Tennessee. What's the biggest difference you can see between this forest and the swamp? Well, this forest is dry, right? These trees are real good at growing in dry, rocky places. Have you heard about the great lumberjack Paul Bunyan and his blue ox Babe? Well, this forest looks like Paul Bunyan country, up in the great woods of Minnesota. But it's not. It's up in the cool mountains of Tennessee. And if we go higher yet, way up in the mountains, we'll come to a cold, snowy forest that looks like the country of Canada. But you don't have to go all over the country or even all over the state to find different looking forests, because the woods as close as your neighborhood park change their costume 4 times a year, every season. In summer, fall, winter. But winter's not always cold and snowy here. It's a good time to visit the forest because there's no snakes or bugs. I love to sit in a quiet forest in the winter and just soak up the sun. Trees are interesting and fun, but they're also very useful and valuable. That's why some of our dads cut down trees, and other dads saw them into boards, and still other dads or moms make them into things we need. Just think of all the things that we use that are made out of wood. Chairs, tables, baseball bats, houses, plastic. Paper is made out of wood. It's made from logs in big factories like this. How much paper does your class use in a year, do you suppose? Quite a bit, probably. But just think of all the classes and schools in Tennessee and in the United States. Now that's a lot of paper. And we use a lot of paper at home and at work, too. If we use so much paper and so many other things made out of trees, why don't we run out of forest? Well, that's one of the neat things about the forest. It's not like coal or gasoline that get used up and then there's no more. The forest grows back. This forest was 80 years old last year, and this year it's just 1 year old. Just as soon as the loggers cut down the trees, the seeds started growing into thousands of little trees. Do you see them here? And trees have another trick for growing back too. This old stump didn't die, and it sent up a tall sprout that will be a big tree in just a few years. These trees are old enough to be in the 1st grade, but they're already taller than the ceiling. And these trees are as old as your parents, but they are 50 feet tall. And here's a grandpa tree, 100 years old. Do you like to play in the creek? I do too, if it's a nice clean creek. How'd you like to play in this, or drink it? Wouldn't you rather drink this? This is another thing the forest gives us, clean water. The forest is like a giant sponge that soaks up raindrops and keeps them from washing the dirt away. It soaks up the water and then lets it run slowly into the clear streams. Now, the forest isn't just our friend, It's the friend of animals too. It gives them food, like acorns for the squirrel and the deer, or big juicy grubs for breakfast for the woodpecker. It's a place to run and hide, to raise your young'uns, and to keep from freezing in the winter. Now what do you think might spend the winter in this hollow log? And for some critters, the forest is just a place to hang out and be cool. Now of course everybody wants to be cool, but this little fella is just too cute to be cool. But not all the forest creatures are cute and cuddly, are they? Because there's snakes out there. But you know, snakes are our friends too, because they eat bugs and mice that carry fleas and diseases. If it weren't for snakes, our woods would be overrun with vermin. Besides, most snakes aren't poison, and some snakes even eat poison snakes. So if you killed our friend Mr. Speckled King Snake, he wouldn't be around to eat poison snakes now, would he? And all the poison snakes would thank you for saving their lives. Well, we've seen a lot of good things that our friend the forest does for us. Can you find some of them in this picture? Animals, water, wood, wild plants, and a fun place to go. But since the forest is our friend, what can we do for it? One thing we can do is to be careful with fire. People cause almost all the forest fires in Tennessee, and forest fires can hurt and kill trees and animals and even burn houses and kill people. So don't play with fire, and when you grow up, be very, very careful how you use fire. A tiny match can start a huge raging forest fire in just a few minutes. No matter how careful you are, fire can get away from you before you know it. And no matter how sorry or afraid you are, you still won't get a second chance. You can't put the fire back in the match and undo the damage. The forest is such a beautiful place, but it takes only a few thoughtless people to ruin it for everybody else. So put your trash where it belongs, in the garbage can. And if you live in town, you can bring the forest to your own backyard by planting trees. Just be sure to check with your parents first to make sure it's okay. And while you're at it, you can ask them if the whole family can go out and visit the forest. When you get there, maybe you can bury your little brother in the sand, and then when Mom finds out, you can hide from her in the forest. Or maybe you just want to hang out, get away from it all, do what you like to do. So come on out and get to know my friend the forest. I think it's going to be the start of a lifelong friendship for you.